Yeah, so let's talk about the cost of living for a few minutes. I'm gonna try to make like a few smaller, shorter videos that are pretty compact, but also pretty like straight to the point about what it costs to live. So I talked about a few of the girlies who have moved out on their own at about 19, which I think is a very good idea. There's no reason you should be like inevitably living with your parents. Like, you gotta grow up. You've got a lot of years to do it. There's just no reason why you should be continuously living at home when you know, growing up is important. That's the point. So, how much does it cost? How much does shit cost? Okay, and I think a really big part of the reason that this conversation needs to happen, especially in communities of color, is because I feel like one thing I'm starting to see is like a lot of people have grown up in poverty and then they simply talk about like the love of their family as being enough. And the reason we already know in the black community that's not enough because the fathers aren't paying for shit. Like they're either just abandoning the mothers completely or they're just not paying. And because they're not paying the money, that means that there are whole households that are going through life with like less money to live. Like even on minimum wage, like if you earn minimum wage and you're working full time, I still think that's like 30, isn't that like $30,000? So you're talking about $30,000 versus $60,000 with two incomes. That's a big fucking deal, especially when there's multiple kids. And a lot of black women specifically are living in the world with like, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 fucking kids in one income. Like that's like impossible. Stop it. That's like impossible. Um and that's the circumstances that people are growing up under. Then there's also the people who are like permanently like they're fucking adults. Like you're like 25 and you're still living with your family. Like grow the fuck up. Like we have to have serious conversations about what poverty actually is and what it isn't, and then other conversations around privilege, because I'm gonna make a whole video about this, but the NYU graduation happened and it was just like the epitome of like nepo babyism. Now, the interesting thing about growing up in the upper middle class is you see nepo babies, and at each step, how the privilege multiplies and expands. We're seeing this right now in this like wellness space where there are the black girlies who are talking about soft life this, soft life that. All they're actually seeing is like the normal way that women in the upper middle class have been treated by the men who provide for them. Like the men are using the money to provide for the women in their lives, the women and children in their lives, like they're supposed to. Like that is how the patriarchy works. The problem is there are so few men, black men, who have been participating actively in the patriarchy that there's like virtually no examples of this happening. And the one thing I'm starting to see right now is this like almost like cross cult, this like facade situation, or this like fakeness, where the black men who are upwardly mobile, the ones like the celebrities, the rappers and shit, they're rapping about the streets, but then they're like providing for their families. So they're like living in the upper middle class, because you can't be a man and live in that sphere and not do all the shit. This is why it's been a very strange situation for me, because like I've been there my whole life. Now I feel like I'm just like solid middle class, but like that means that at every step I was kind of going through those motions. And as I looked around, it's like you see some black men who are just being normal, but then like the other black men who are like really poor, and the other families of colors who are really poor, they don't see them because like they're so far removed from them, and they need that mentorship and they need that representation. Here's another thing I came across, and I want to like make this clear. Representation is not just important for like DEI purposes. Representation, especially right now in America, is important because of cross-cultural communication. I think it's just something I'm really starting to like really sit in. The way that I grew up and where I grew up, like I grew up in Berkeley, California, so it's like Northern California, and it's a pretty like, you know, college town, very academic, but it's also like very multicultural and global. So I've been familiar with like multiple religions, multiple ethnic groups, different types of black people since I was like a very small child. So I didn't have this idea that there was like one version of black. All around America though, the whites here don't know that. Like they have no idea that there's like multiple versions of black. There's 54 African countries. And these conversations and these pop cultural introductions to like Tyla, Ira Star, Kid, this is the first time that they're seeing like other black people who aren't of the streets. Like the Drewski skit where he made fun of like those black Brits. That shit's really funny to black Americans, but I think there's a lot of people who don't understand like why he needed to make the skit, you know? Anyway, so to go back for a second on this idea of representation, if you're a member of the upper middle class, and this is why I also talk about Gossip Girl a lot, and I literally make my name the name of the channel Gossip Girl. Gossip Girl is a show you should watch if you want to understand like society in the city, because they're like literally in New York, right? And then there are actually multiple social classes exemplified. Like the main characters, Serena and Blair, are super 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 wealthy. They're like Paris Hilton rich, right? Or like Kim Kardashian rich, something like that. But there's other characters like Jenny the Humphreys and her family. They're actually like really poor. They're like middle class, but because they live in that world, they're like Kerry Washington in real life. Like she was like poor at a very wealthy school, and there's Gwyneth Paltrow in real life. So if you're on Instagram right now, you're actually seeing this play out. You're seeing Gwyneth Paltrow. She just did this ad in Italy with Goop, where she's like walking around some like new, well, it's actually a very old money villa, and she's just exploring it for the first time. And I don't even know what the ad was for. I think it's just like a lifestyle tourism ad. But like, and then her niece or nephew just graduated from NYU with the other Nepo babies. There's like Suki Waterhouse. There's, what's the guy from Coldplay? Him and the actress from Pulp Fiction, their daughter just graduated from NYU. Like all the Nepo babies just graduated. Reese Witherspoon, her son or something, just graduated. Like all the Nepo babies just graduated from NYU. And if you're following this, it's like the same people. That's the thing that I think is so funny about this. I feel like some of us are, and then here's another thing too, like when we're talking about like the girlies who are trying to infiltrate or pretend to have like soft life or whatever, what they're imitating is like, I'm gonna use Lori Harvey as like our keen example just because so many people know who she is. But think about the story. Like Lori Harvey was going to have things in society because she's like conventionally pretty. She's just like a pretty girl. So her life in America was going to turn out good because she's just pretty in America. Like no matter what, the way that patriarchy works is like women are the prize, and not because they want to be, but because they have to be under patriarchy. Like the men who are the functional men in society, like the men who have jobs, any job really, but the men with jobs have to use the money from the job to take care of their wives and children, their families, if it's a husband and a child. Like otherwise the system doesn't work. Like, because what else are the men going to spend their money on? There's nothing else. It's like that or nothing. And I think that's a piece that some people forget. So Lori Harvey was going to find some husband, but then like, now she's just like a girlfriend, but that's still like, she's like a girlfriend with the privileges. She posted something, it was like yesterday, where she was at like some dinner, and then she posted something tonight where she's at like some additional dinner with Amina Amurati, whatever her name is. And they're just at like some really nice snazzy dinner, kind of beachside, you know. And it's like she's living like she's like having like a soft girl pre-launch summer, and it makes sense. But also, here's one thing that's really important. If you're like a black girl, you probably know who Lori Harvey is. But if you're also like a cultured black girl, you also know who Jasmine Tukes is. And you realize that those two women are both having kind of like different soft launch, soft girl summers, going to different activities all around the globe. Because I think like last week Jasmine was in New York, this week she was in LA. Like she's doing stuff too. Like it's just like, who are you following? Who do you know to follow? If you were following Lais Riviera, you would have saw the things that she did this week. Like one of her sons graduated or something, and then she did like a soft aloe launch. If you're following Candace Swinepool, you saw all of her aloe launches. Her swimwear line is out. Like all of the pretty hot girls, the ones that are white, the ones that are Latina, the ones that are black, the ones that are other, the ones that are Indian, if you're following them, they're kind of all related in a sense, and they're all kind of doing the same thing. And then there's like the next level down, which is kind of like just, we'll just call them like kind of online influencer girlies. I feel like that's like where I land. I'm not a beauty influencer though, just like a online content creator girly, right? Like in some way I just live in America, so I see like stuff that's going on. And then I also live in LA, in Hollywood, so I could tell you like people that